And our guy, Zach Symm of Orangebloods.com. You can follow him at Zach at the Dish on social media. And Zach, last week when we talked to you, we were talking about Texas winning the series against Mississippi State and how important it was and the expectations of this weekend going to Tennessee, and they needed to win a game, maybe two, to hopefully win the series, but you know how that goes. But Texas comes up short Friday night. They end up losing to Tennessee. They lose Saturday, but they salvage game 3 on Mother's Day and find a way to get a win without being swept. What was your biggest takeaways from the University of Texas trip to Knoxville, Tennessee?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is the fact that you saw Ethan Mendoza back in the lineup on Sunday. That was a pretty scary moment on Friday when he went down, just because we saw what happened last year when he went down, and it was a while before he was able to get back. So, Sloss talked about it before, but the team's banged up. And so coming out of the weekend, everyone appears to be back on track in some form or fashion. Ruger left one bad pitch up, but then went 3 innings of putting zeros on the board, and Ethan Mendoza was back in the lineup. Anthony Pack, after a slow Friday game, which everyone had a slow Friday game.
I was trying to say, well,
he looks really good. And then, obviously Temo Becerra is lighting it up. So I think there's a lot of guys right now in the lineup that are kind of starting to put things back together that maybe they had and, gotten away from. And so that's going to be important going into this weekend. And then obviously next week and the week after, as they get into SEC tourney, and then regionals is, right around the corner. So just getting everyone healthy, I think, is the biggest thing. And I did like what I saw from Volantis. He battled. He didn't have maybe his best stuff. I felt like he had a hard time controlling, but he put his team in position to win. The offense just ran up against an ace that has 70 grade fastball, and he was acing for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is it a thing for Texas? I know you don't save anything, but is everybody in the order right now for the next of the pitchers in order fresh? Are those guys fresh right now?
I'm not sure anyone's fresh at this point in the season. The big thing is they don't have a midweek this week, so they get an extra day to kind of work through some kinks, get in the training room. Obviously Ruger's not 100%. He had some soreness. But I think overall the staff has done a good job of managing the workload, right? Like you didn't see Cozart twice this weekend. So they were able to kind of save some guys in terms of workload management. And I think you'll probably see the same thing this weekend against Mizzouri.
Well, that's what you said, because I was kind of alluding to it, but I didn't want to. I don't want to get in trouble.
We're talking to Zach Symm of Orangebloods.com. You can follow him at Zach at the Dish. You mentioned it, Anthony Pack Jr. and Temo Becerra. The lineup changed a little bit. Once again, they flip-flopped Temo and A-Rod, moved Casey around. Casey starting to swing the bat. But I want to go back to what we saw from Becerra and Anthony Pack Jr. on Saturday. Becerra was the offense. He tried everything and he possibly could to keep this team in the ball game. They end up losing 14-9, but his presence at the plate is where you want to see him heading into the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a guy that's been to Omaha, right? Like he played a big part in those Stanford teams, and one of the reasons they brought a guy like Becerra in, it wasn't just because of his defense. It was the consistency and the experience. You got a lot of young guys out there that they don't understand maybe what it takes to win at that level sometimes. And so having a guy like him is really important. And he's not a big vocal guy. I mean, if you've ever seen him in the dugout or anything else, like he's with the guys, but he's more of I'm just going to put my head down, put in the work. And sometimes that's what you need, right? Like you don't want to be too high, too low, you're bouncing all over the place. You want to just get in there and do your work. So super vital that Texas has him going this late in the season.
I did want to ask you this because it was kind of interesting to see the play that was made in center field late in the ball game with Jaden Duplantier. Even the TV was like, wait, is that Duplantier? Like when did they make that move? But it's showing a lot of versatility because, as you mentioned, Texas is dealing with a ton of injuries right now, and guys are trying to battle through it. You think about what A-Rod is going through, where now he's strictly on the left side of the play. You had mentioned Anthony Pack Jr., him trying to get himself back to where he was after dealing with that weight room injury. This is a MASH unit, and coach is trying to push all the buttons at this. Just get us to the finish line so we can try to get some guys healthy.
Yeah, for sure. I think the big story is that Pendergrass will probably be back this week. I was seeing him running out in the outfield. He looked good. And certainly having a guy like Mansour and Gumbo and even Temo, who played second base when Ethan Mendoza went down for that game, they do have a lot of versatility. It's just, I'm sure it's a headache for coach to sit there and try to put together a lineup 1 through 9 that says, okay, I got to match up against whatever the pitcher's coming against us. Yep. I got to get guys in there that are actually hitting the ball, seeing the ball, but also, protecting them so that they're not hurting themselves and overexerting. So yeah, it's tough this time of season for sure. I mean, look at A&M. They lost another guy to an orbital fracture. No one can stay healthy.
Yeah, this is that, like you mentioned, this is the end of the season. Nobody is playing at 100%. It is what it is, and you got to make the most of it. As we're heading down the home stretch, obviously the last home series is this weekend against Mizzouri, and then we get the seedings for SEC play. Texas now, in one of the polls I just saw before you came on, they dropped to number 6, I believe, in the Baseball America. And my question is, this series this weekend, how important? It's obviously important. It's an SEC series, but what does this do for Texas as far as obviously a regional host, but possibly getting a super regional as well?
I think Texas is a lock for a regional host, a top 16 seed. And realistically, if they win one game, they're probably a lock for a top 8 host. They've put together that resume. They've got the quad 1 wins. They got the strength of schedule, the RPI. They get 2 wins. They're very likely going to be in the top 6 or, even maybe 5 of the order, simply because Auburn's got a tough weekend ahead of them against Georgia. And so Texas does have that ability to kind of maybe sneak in the top 4 overall seed. So yeah, they need a series win. Doesn't have to be a sweep, but I think from anything, just kind of that momentum, go get a series win at home, finish up strong, and then, go to the SEC tournament and play your hopefully single game and then get home and get healthy. So
definitely get some rest, and that's the main thing. Before we let you go, Zach, I wanted to ask you too, it is that time of year where you're expecting to see some guys with that experience start to step up a little bit. Saw Aiden Robbins, he hit his home run. He's at number 19. Obviously, Casey Borba is doing the things that we needed to see from him. Which guy are you looking to see kind of turn it on in the postseason?
I think Temo Becerra is showing something that we all kind of expected, just being that guy that's going to go out there and just get a lot of hits. But I was really impressed with Adrian Rodriguez. He's been dealing with that hand issue, but he's putting together better and better swings, and he's getting comfortable being on that left side. And, he's probably not going to have the same power at Dishfalk that he's hit at Lindsey Nelson, but having him productive, I think, is really big for the lineup, just because it extends it down and gets you into that bottom half so you can try to turn it over. So him and Casey Borba, the 2 guys that I think really need to have it going late in the season.
And then on the pitching staff, who are some guys that need to step up if Texas is going to make a real challenge to be a national champion?
Yeah, I think you saw 2 of them yesterday, Thomas Burns and LeFew. LeFew looked really good, went 3 innings, so they were able to stretch him out. And then Thomas Burns, we've talked about this before. Is he a 1-inning guy? You don't bring him back up and sit him back down, but I think they're going to have him at times where he can come up and, get an out and then go sit down and then come back up, because he's got such an electric arm, and they're going to have a guy that can come in and get a strikeout or, induce a pop fly or something late in the game. So yeah, LeFew and Burns out of the bullpen are going to be super important down the road.
And we got to wait and see what's going to happen the rest of the week with Ethan Mendoza. From what I heard and what you guys have been reporting, Coach didn't think it was going to be something that he was going to be able to bounce back from immediately. But I am glad to see that he was able to keep his bat in the lineup, because we can kind of scrap through a lot of this stuff, but we definitely need his barrel giving us a lot of action during the next couple weeks during the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought it was really encouraging that he was back in the lineup, even if he's not 100%. And he's a super tough, gritty kid. I mean, he wants to play. He loves UT. And even if he can't play second base, having that mentality and that approach and just his presence in the lineup, I think brings a lot of comfortableness to the team. And so it was really good to see that. It sounds like it's maybe not as serious as last year's, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, get that boy in the physio room and get him some work and get him healthy for the rest of the week.
No doubt about it. Texas baseball takes on the Mizzouri Tigers this weekend. Thursday night start at the Dish on SEC Network, but you can hear all the action on the iHeartRadio app and 103.1 FM. As always, Zach, man, I appreciate you, and have a great week, brother.
Y'all as well. See you at the ballpark.